stand with me and we'll repeat the Lord's Prayer. Repeat the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, and thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thy is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you. All right. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof on today's agenda? Councillor Eccles. John?
One item with the South Grey condominium.
Okay. So noted. Are there any other ones? If becomes apparent at any time throughout the meeting, it can be declared, of course. There is no closed session this morning. We will have a closed session at the end of the meeting, but none to start the meeting. There's no public meetings this morning. Consent agenda. I have a motion moved by Mark Rapke and seconded by John A. Bell. Be it resolved that items A1 to C1 inclusive contained in Part 1 consent agenda be adopted as amended, and further that authorization be given for the actions to be taken as may be necessary to give effect to the recommendations contained therein. Mark, can you give the amendment, please?
Yeah, there's a couple amendments to the two sets of minutes. The June 17th council minutes, page 4, regarding resolution 190 of 13. I just forgot, this is a motion in support of some other municipalities deeming themselves as not willing hosts for industrial wind turbines. I just forgot to add in the slight amendment the council made that also mentioned that West Grey had also declared as a non-willing host for wind turbines. And then as well on the June 24th Committee of the Whole minutes, page 7, I had noted that Kim Priestman had been the acting chief librarian CEO, where she was actually the chief librarian acting CEO. So those have been changed.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. I mentioned that. Yeah. Okay. So that's it for consent. Communications from Mayor and Council. Any communications out there from anybody? Councillor Lawrence. Carol?
Just to say the Newstead Rec Committee had a very successful strawberry supper on Sunday. Overwhelming, in fact. We were sold out by about 6:15. There were 350 people attended, and had planned on about 300. So next year it was it's a wonderful dinner and a wonderful fundraiser. So next year I guess we'll plan for more people.
Very good. Any other good news or celebrations? Mark, Councillor Rapke.
Attended the Priceville fireworks as part of the Stockler board. I got you parked okay. I was helping out with the parking. Got you in a good spot there to help you out with your war wound.
Got the hazard, yes. Yep. Disability parking, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And we managed to get everyone else parked. There was a pretty big turnout. I haven't heard what the numbers and such were, but it was a pretty big crowd by the time the fireworks went, and it was a pretty big display. So it was a good event.
Excellent. That's a number of fireworks displays in Canada Day celebrations. Durham loves Canada Day on the Saturday, the 29th at the Ball Diamonds. And it was the best attendance that they've had, and I understand the best fireworks. I was able to be there. Don't know whether the MC of the ceremony wants to express anything else. Deputy Mayor Bell?
Well, thank you.
Was on the mic for most of the night?
No, we just short time, and happy to be a short time.
Well, the crowd was happy.
The crowd was happy, yes. One good piece of good news, the Lions Club came forward with another $4,000 for their pledge in terms of The Beat Goes On. So they are still recognizing their obligation to West Grey and are fully prepared to see that obligation through. And they work very hard, very tirelessly. Great organization. We're fortunate to have them.
Okay, thank you. Carol, Councillor Lawrence.
If I can just add to that, the Durham girls were thrilled. That was their first engagement of the year, and they sounded great. And it was a very nice touch. As you know, Mary Louise Vollett passed away, and our performance that night was dedicated to her memory because she was a member in high school. So.
Yes. Anything else? Good news and celebrations. This one, just like to remind, there's one of the largest celebrations coming up on next weekend, not this coming weekend, but the weekend following, down in Southgate with the Holstein Optimist Rodeo is on. I know there's a number of organizations and individuals volunteering, so anybody has an opportunity to take that in will be great. And just a little bit of advance advertising, the Fiber Festival is, remind everybody, from the 13th of July. It is on in Newstead. A number of individuals down there come together with their quilting and fiber works, displaying some of that and trying to turn that be the first year. So if you have the opportunity to be down there on the July the 13th, it's a Saturday. Events, product being shown all around town. They're using a number of the churches as kind of a walking tour. So look forward to being able to get out to that, and hopefully it'll be successful and continue on for many years beyond. And I did get to the Strawberry Festival and Strawberry Dinner. Excellent, again, Carol, you're exactly right. And I was, have gone on a kind of a different diet, so the idea of the cold meats didn't attract me at all. I went for the salads. And they didn't run out of strawberries, but the ice cream and meat and just about everything else they did. So
I might just say it was 125 pounds of strawberries that were used. It's a lot of strawberries to clean and slice.
exactly, but the ladies, the group does a very good job down there. I shouldn't just say the ladies. Yes. Okay. Anything else? Good news and celebrations? Okay. We do have a delegation this morning, and we're pretty close to a 10:15. If you don't mind jumping in a little bit earlier, Mr. Scriven and Mr. Brohman, welcome from the West Grade to the Conservation Chairman and President, CEO, General Manager. Thank you for the title, Wayne. This morning, Council, we have obviously Bill Scriven is no stranger to the chambers, and Wayne Brohman. We welcome you, and give us a report on the good things that the conservation, the good news. Yeah. The mic is there. We'll use that, Bill. The mic, the right black button.
All right, this is very complicated.
There you go.
This is going to stand here
That
for
will
me.
be broadcast as we do. We broadcast
Okay.
live stream, so now they'll be able to not only see your good-looking face, but hear your lovely voice out there
Good.
in West Grade.
Well, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Deputy Mayor, council members, staff, it certainly is a pleasure to be asked to come and address your council as to the happenings or the changes or the goings-on at the Conservation Authority. It's only been, this is our third term of John Eccles and myself, this council sent us to the Conservation Authority Board of Directors. I'm going to give you a little bit of a summary on what we've possibly done so far, and Wayne is going to, I will introduce Wayne, and Wayne will bring you up to date on what we're intending to do. My comments will be fairly candid and fairly blunt, and I feel this is dialogue. If you have a question from a council member or staff, please feel free to make yourself known, and we'll address that question at the time. When John and I arrived at the Conservation Board, I can remember that one of the first things we were asked to do was to ratify and approve the actions of the Executive Committee for the previous year. John is laughing. And I quickly said, you know, I can't vote for that because I have no clue on what those actions were. And that was just kind of the start of what I call changing of attitude and changing of procedure at the Conservation Authority. We now have complete transparency. The Executive Committee meet. Their minutes are circulated to all the Board of Directors, so every director knows exactly what we're doing. So that was kind of the first thing. The second thing, I refer to kind of the 4 pillars of any business, and I'm sure it happens here also, is productivity, accountability, structure, and finance. And when we reviewed our properties back then, we saw that some properties were definitely wanting as far as upgrades to the facilities. One would have been the Sulphur Springs. The fence was falling down, the roof was leaking, the picnic tables you couldn't sit at. We have changed all that. We spent approximately $50,000, and we have, I think, they're a very nice facility. We bought swans, we brought the swans back. Kids jump out of the car, and it's kind of like, where's Waldo? They want to find the swans. This board believes very strongly in public green space, as I'm sure your council does with the parkette that we've leased you at the Durham Conservation Authority. And when I say public green space, my wife and I, when we came to the Conservation Authority, every Sunday we would visit a property, and just so you know what side the building's on when you drive up the lane, so you can have intelligent conversation. And we saw that at the Sulphur Springs, mainly, and Allen Park, the demographics of people are families predominantly between 25 and 35 with kids, or they're walkers, maybe retirees or elderly people like myself that are walkers. And why we believe in public green space so much is that those demographics, that age group with 3 or 4 kids, by the time they've paid their taxes, they put gas in their car, paid their rent, paid their hydro bill, quite frankly, they don't have a lot left. So they can come to our facilities, public green space, and enjoy the day. We ask for a donation of $5. We have great picnic facilities. We have the birds are all been reinstated, the swans, etc. The kids' playground equipment there was a donation from a family, so that worked in well. So we went to all our facilities, and I think I can say quite assuredly today, most of our facilities are right up to standards. Wayne has instituted a program of picturing all our signage and cataloging all our signage, so that we may know which signs we need to replace and keep our places looking crisp. The general philosophy of our board is that we're in business. We're in business. We're a client. We want to be a client-based, customer service-oriented organization. We're involved in many things, as you likely know: woodlot management, 21,000 acres, where we derive revenue from selling timber. Education programs with children in the schools, the WREN program, the DEER program, the communications through Shannon and the foundation, and of course our regulations department. We have made changes, as you are well aware. Our previous general manager took early retirement. We are moving some people around. Wayne will maybe elaborate on that. We're having some retires. But I still go back to the promise that our municipal partners contribute about 44% of our income through the general levy program. And the general levy program, as you know, is based on assessment. 15 municipalities, the 2 major municipalities, Kincardine and Saugeen Shores, they have about 44% of the vote on any budget issues. When your CEO wrote to us, he said you had concerns on budgets and staffing. I would say I would share the concerns on budgets. The budgets prior to this board coming into position, I thought were slightly confrontational. I mean, you know, they just, you'd ask for 12% and fight to get 10 and do all that. I mean, it's just posturing, basically. And I don't think it shows good respect to, again, our municipal stakeholders who have a big share in our business. Our only unfortunate thing is that when we move forward with some major programs, we do not have the ability to raise the money as municipal councils do. As you know, your assessment goes up, your mill rate stays the same, but your revenue increases. Ours revenue is dependent upon our fee structure on the regulations end and wood sales, bush lot sales, which is significant, and of course our general levy income. But if I can impart anything to you today, it's 2 or 3 things. Number one is that we value our municipal relationships. That's why Wayne and I are doing some of these presentations at councils, and we welcome suggestions and questions. We're very open and transparent. Some of the things that we do, and I will touch on the regulations. The regulations sometimes, I'm not sure which words to use, are sometimes difficult to approach, but I can assure you now that with the floods in Alberta that High River built solely on a floodplain, they're likely, people are going to have at least a better understanding of what can happen in these regulated areas. I know people say, well, my grandmother lived here, her grandmother lived here, we never saw a flood. And I expect if you ask the people in Alberta, they would say the same thing. They have never seen a flood. I was speaking with somebody this morning, and I said it's likely the largest single disaster in Canada. And he stated, if it's not, it's certainly in the top 2. And this is basically flood control management on a floodplain. And so this sometimes, you know, is a little difficult for everybody. But it has to be accepted that the overriding function of the Conservation Authority is protection of the watershed. And if you leave here today and you can't drink the water and you can't breathe the air, you likely won't get to your car. So I just think it's very important, and it's not our function, it's certainly not our function in the regulations to be difficult. Regulations have changed. I was speaking with John earlier this morning. We're now mandated, the building permits are mandated to 10 days. I believe you either will receive a building permit in 10 days or the reason why you won't, and we're mandated to 30 days now. That was brought in last year for permits. However, we have had quite a change in staff in our regulations department. Our regulations manager is going to move over to flood control, and we're in the process of hiring another regulations manager for that department. So in general, I would leave you with the idea. I think all our infrastructure is in top-notch shape. The Durham parks, our campgrounds. It's interesting to note, and I would leave you with this, that the Ministry of Tourism for Ontario state that for everybody that stays in the Durham campground for a night, they spend $261 in your community. Either restaurants, gas, this, whatever. These are very significant numbers. We are not making big profits in our campgrounds, and as we get through our reorganization process, we will address that, how we're going to handle that. Wayne will likely touch on some new things we've done for our campgrounds as far as registrations, online kind of stuff. I hope he does. So all of our infrastructure is in good shape. We're now in the process of, Wayne will indicate to you some other changes that we're going to go through. But I think in this, our 3rd term, John and I, that we've made significant steps as far as the 4 principles: accountability, productivity, structure, and finance. Now maybe most people would question what structure is. Structure is basically that if, the simplest way I can put it is if we start at 8 o'clock, we're there at 5:02, not 10 after. We have to have structure. People have to be accountable, and we have to have productivity. And I think the problem is in the public sector, sometimes this gets a little lost. But we certainly intend to implement these changes, and when we do our general levy or budget proposals, that councils will understand that we do them not with fairly seriously. And I would, you know, I don't want to foretell what the future is, but I think you will see that the budget process has been refined by quite a bit. You know, we're just not shooting off here and there for 7 or 8 or 10%. That's just not in the cards. So I don't know. Do you have any questions? Anything specific you'd like to ask prior to me introducing Wayne?
Anything from council? If I could, Bill, from
Yes.
the chair, you mentioned about your bush lots, the treed areas
Yes.
and whatnot, and I'm
Yes.
very familiar with the good work that your forestry manager down there, Jim Pinner,
Yes.
has done. Grey County Council yesterday, we were given a report, a delegation from CFIA on emerald ash borer.
Yes.
Just wondering, is the conservation got a plan, or are we just?
How blunt do you want me to be? The
Well,
CFIA...
I don't think
the
I've ever had to ask you to
Okay.
not be.
Well, I'm just going to say to you, the CFIA, let's have a little dialogue on CFIA. CFIA stands for Canadian Food Inspection Agency. It used to be run, as John Bell and his dad likely know, by a fellow called Bruce Parliament. It was then taken over by Brian Evans. They have doubled their staff in the last 5 years, doubled. They are now, I believe, at 7,800 on inspection levels. The emerald ash borer was handled, in our opinion, from the Conservation Authority, was handled extremely poorly. We have only had one incidence of emerald ash borer that we are aware of, and that was at Lucknow a year ago. And the regulations say that when that happens, the quarantine area will be within 25 kilometers. The CFIA made no attempts to control movement of product from southern Ontario to campgrounds in other areas of the province. That's how the bug travels. I can't say with a great degree of authority the travel time of the bug, but it's very short. The bug has to be transported. Terrible situation. One of our directors visited an emerald ash borer infested forest near Blenheim, Ontario. You can't even go into the bush. Foresters will not go into the bush. All you hear is creaking and cracking and falling. It's very bad. CFIA presented to the conservation authorities in Graham Bruce a three-option plan. All the options were ridiculous, quite frankly. It basically said, we're just going to declare the whole province infested with emerald ash borer, whether it is or it isn't. That includes Manitoulin Island, the Algoma district, everything. No attempt whatsoever, in our opinion, not mine, in Jim Penner's and fairly professional foresters' advice, no attempt whatsoever to control it. Okay? So that's the only comment I can make with reference to the emerald ash borer. The only instance we're aware of is the tree just on the outskirts of Lucknow in the fall of 2011 or the spring of 2012. And present regulations would say that you would not go any further than 25 kilometers. But they have just opened, maybe they explained that to you yesterday. They've opened the whole province up as a emerald ash borer zone.
And yesterday they did indicate that there'd been a tree found in the last couple of weeks in the Meaford area.
Okay.
Been identified.
Okay.
So Grey County hasn't been declared a disaster zone
Yes.
for emerald ash borer, but as soon as the paperwork gets through, it will be. So,
Yes.
And you're very much dead on. Just call it all an area
Yeah.
and stand back, and it looks like they're looking for individuals to come out and try and do something to inoculate the trees.
Yes.
But it is very expensive.
$300 a tree.
Yep.
Repeated in 3 years.
Well, we got $200 repeated in 2 years. Okay. What the same. You know, and an
Yeah.
ash tree today at
Yeah.
$400.
$1,000.
1,000.
Yeah.
A good ash may give you 500, so
Yeah.
you know, the ash tree itself is worth 200.
Yeah. I think I have a fair little insight into CFIA for various reasons, and it's definitely an organization that is under scrutiny, let's put it that way, as to effectiveness and accountability.
Well, it was strange that the organization, I thought, that was supposed to be looking at stopping those types of bugs
Yes.
coming in
Yes,
are the ones now that are supposed to be looking after the hen
Yes.
house once they get here.
yes. I don't want to, the last thing I want to do is sound vindictive, because I don't want to be vindictive, but in the meat industry, we saw the closing of many, many small federal packers, and yet we saw national packers that admitted to causing the death of 22 people, and many other things that, you know, I think also, as with small things or smaller things like the Conservation Authority, municipal councils and everything like that, we should be accountable to the questions that people ask. That's our function. The function of government is to help people, guide them through the maze. Anyway, if there are no questions,
Any other questions? John? Sorry, Deputy Mayor Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Scriven, we've known each other for a few years, and your assessment of CFIA is right on. In fact, I leaned over to the mayor yesterday at County Council and pointed that out to him, exactly what you said, in terms of what happened to these small abattoirs
Yes.
in this province.
Yes.
And who was supposedly at the switch and who wasn't
Yes.
after BSE struck. This reminds me of that. They say that history will repeat itself, but this is a short 10, 11 years later that this is happening on a little different level with the same people. So I know that you have certain amounts of influence in different circles. If there's anything you can do on behalf of, I guess, the people not only of West Grey, but for Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority in regards to that, please understand that we would be at your beck and call if that was to happen. But the emerald ash borer is not going to go away by the looks of things. I think there's going to be a number of ash trees show up in the next 5 to 10 years right in this area that could be in bad shape. So
I always think, John, that if you think small things don't matter and small things don't count, lock yourself in a closet with a mosquito. You get the picture. And I think it's up to all of us to have what I call pleasant dialogue, non-aggressive dialogue, be pleasantly aggressive in our approach to some things that are being foisted on us. I'm getting away from the Conservation Authority, and I'll stop there. But it's up to all of us. It's really with genuine great pleasure that I would tell you about our new general manager, Wayne Brohman, and introduce you to him. Wayne graduated from Laurier University with a degree in business, went on to become a CA, chartered accountant, worked for Cooper's Lybrand, was president of Sutherland Schultz, a large electrical contractor, 600-700 employees in the Cambridge, that triangle down there. He was then asked to come to Durham Furniture to reorganize and reassess Durham Furniture. As Wayne said to me one day, those jobs are very draining, Bill. So he has been kind of with his brother doing some different things, and we were fortunate enough to get him to come to the Conservation Authority and help us with our reorganization. And so I would introduce you to Wayne, and I would ask you to welcome him. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for those kind words, Bill. I noticed that he doesn't have to have any notes up here. Isn't that just amazing? I got to bring mine up, that's for sure. Yes, thanks for the invite. We really appreciate an opportunity to get in front of various councils to explain a little bit what we're doing and what we're about, and maybe clarify some questions that you may have. I'll probably repeat a few of the things that, or expand on a few of the things that Bill introduced. I'll just start with the emerald ash borer. We have 2 trained staff who have the ability to treat the trees, and we're in the process of classifying the trees in our own properties that are prime. We have some in our campgrounds that we'd sure like to save, and we're treating those. We'll be treating those, but we're certainly open to the public and encouraging the public to come to us. We're kind of emphasizing businesses like golf courses or maybe cemeteries where trees are just particularly important, that the treatment works. There's no question that the treatment works. It's not inexpensive though, but it will save the tree. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the specific things we're doing in West Grey. Everybody knows that our main properties here are Sulphur Springs, Allen Park, and Kinghurst, and of course the campgrounds just up the road. Those are all enjoyed by not only local residents, but certainly we encourage and get a lot of tourists into the area. And we're trying to promote the peaceful enjoyment of those properties by all. The challenges that we come up against are basically just maintaining the properties. The trails need help. They need new picnic tables, things like that. And the bigger, well, as big a challenge is trying to keep the ATVs, the dirt bikes off the trails in those properties, and trying to keep the dogs on a leash that are in there. We work on those. We sign. We put up lots of signs, and the enforcement is a little tough, but we're not giving up. Christmas in the country is a very important event for us. We have 7,000 or so attendees at that event at Sulphur Springs. Brings a lot of outside money into the community. We're really happy with how that event's grown, and we're going to keep working on it. In West Grey, we own 3,700 acres of just beautiful natural property. We do a lot of flood warning work in West Grey. 8 gauges that we we look at regularly, take the readings from them. 4 snow stations where we measure the snowfall in the winter. Water quality, we have 7 stations that monitor both the surface water and the groundwater. And in that the handout you got, you will see the report cards in there that give West Grey quite a decent score in both groundwater and surface water. But it means we have to stay on top of it. That's why we monitor it regularly. I think my favorite program really is the forestry that Bill had mentioned. Last year in West Grey, we had 7 grant programs that we helped landowners with managing their forests. 875 acres that we help them become good forest stewards. We also get West Grey gets quite a good report score on forestry that's also in the handout. This spring we planted 27,000 trees in West Grey. Trees Ontario provides a subsidy. We help the landowners qualify for the subsidy, and it's a huge deduction to the landowner, really a big discount. As Bill mentioned, we do a lot of education, Grey Bruce Forest Festival. We had Waterworks program at JDSS. Lots of West Grey High School students attended that. We spoke about drinking water and sewage treatment plants, the water treatment plant tours, all good stuff. So as Bill mentioned, my background was in accounting, but I was sure glad to come back to Durham, glad for the opportunity. I've moved here. When my friends ask where I live and they're coming up, I always say, well, it's just by the beer store, so everybody kind of can find that sign as they come in from the south. I found, since I've been here, really quite quickly that we've got a great dedicated staff at Saugeen. They're devoted to conserving the natural environment, to protecting it, to protecting the environment and the citizens. So that makes my job a lot easier. What things do I focus on? Well, I focus on making sure that the staff stay focused on the important matters, that they talk to the right people about the right things, and that they have the tools to do their job. Sounds simple. We follow the 4 things that Bill mentioned: accountability, productivity, finance, and structure. We don't want to, the finance end of things, which is my strength, we want to follow the budget. We don't want to have to be coming back to any councils at the end of the day and with our cap in hand. We want people to be accountable. We're accountable to the councils. We're accountable to a number of stakeholders. We have several people getting close to retirement, so that's going to be one of our challenges, to replace the good people, but we'll figure that out. And we've moved a number of people around. My thought there is the new job, new focus. it re-energizes people, just like this job has done for me. So we're not afraid to challenge the people. They have the skills to do these various jobs, so we'll move them around and get them re-energized. One of the important focuses is staying in tune with our municipal partners. What are they saying? What are their needs? But we have to be careful that we don't sacrifice our principles, that we don't sacrifice the legislation that we have to follow. The thing is that the Conservation Act is like many acts that govern our everyday life. It doesn't trump other acts that we have to live by, the Traffic Act. It doesn't trump that. It doesn't trump the Building Code, and those don't trump our Conservation Act. So we have to find ways to work within the system, to work with those other legislations. It's a challenge, but we can't compromise on certain things. As Bill alluded to, we found what happens, what can happen really, is what happened in Alberta. And yes, it was a freak of nature, no question, but it seems that those sorts of things are happening more often. So we have to remain ever vigilant. We have to keep up with our flood warning, with our flood control dikes and dams, and we have to maintain that or we're going to be in trouble. I think I'll just close with one ongoing project that dates back quite a few years. 2008, at the upper dam, the water ran over the dam, created a new path, not a new path, but it ran to the north, but it created a new path to the south. A channel, really. Dug it out pretty good. It's been filled since, but it's just a temporary solution. Since 2008, we've been trying to work on the permanent solution. This council set aside some funds back then. We've set aside some funds. We got some grant money. But it's been hung up with the Ministry of Natural Resources. It needs their approval. It comes under their jurisdiction. What we want to do is have a permanent spillway to the south, and that's required because we don't want to risk erosion of the dam. The dam starts to erode, you're going to have flooding in those houses there. So we have been working with the ministry, but it's a slow process. They've required 3 more studies since we contacted them. Those are done, and now there's a 4th one on the agenda. Should be the final one. They're trying to link that a little bit with how we manage the dam, how we control the dam, and there has been a change in how that's been done with consultation from West Grey staff. We've changed that methodology a little bit to better control the frazzle ice. But the ministry's not in entire agreement with how that's being done, so they're trying to combine sort of a study that looks at both those things. Anyway, the heads up is we're working on it, and if your staff want a more detailed update, I'll put you in touch with our people that can give that. They'll know more than me. So, Bill, I mentioned some of the other things that we're working on. The campgrounds, for sure, we want to put an emphasis on that. We've got a new reservation system. We're upgrading some of the buildings, some of the showers and the washrooms. We want to see if we can put some more hydro in. Everybody seems to want hydro these days when they're camping. More picnic tables, things like that. And we're just basically working on helping landowners become better stewards. There's funding out there that we're trying to get into the hands of the landowners, many of them in West Grey, and to help with keeping cattle out of the creeks, more tree planting, river rehabilitation, things like that. We're busy. We like it that way. So again, thanks for the opportunity to get before the council, tell you a little bit about what we're doing, and we want to just encourage all the citizens of West Grey to get out to our parks, to do the hiking and the mountain biking. Keep your dogs on a leash though, please. Stay off the ATVs. Questions?
Any questions for Wayne?
Somebody's got a question, no?
Well, I'll throw one at you and
Okay.
see how this works. Graduated from Laurier, Laurier being noted as a business school. your background qualifications for conservation?
Well, the thought is, I didn't have any qualifications when I went from accounting into the construction industry, and I didn't have any construction qualifications. And then when I went into Durham Furniture, I certainly didn't know anything about woodworking, wood furniture. The role here has been more, at Saugeen, has been more of, like I alluded to, a management function. We've got the good people who know those things. They know how to plant trees. They know how to do flood warning. They don't need my help for that. It's just having the organization work together, having it adhere to the strategies that the board and the policies that the board passes down, and adhering to those in a productive and efficient way. And we're going to be changing some of the personnel policies. So it's that the function is the general management function. That's why they call it a general manager, secretary, treasurer. So the exact conservation background at this time wasn't seen to be the prime concern.
Very good. And my associate right beside me, being a Wilfrid Laurier alumnus,
Oh yeah.
says when you're from Wilfrid Laurier, you can do anything.
Well, what happened with my training really is I worked in bankruptcy. I was a trustee in bankruptcy for 15 years. And the advantage of that is you get to see 50, 75, 100 different companies. And you get to see how they're run, and in most cases how they're not well run. And I guess what Laurier taught us was to learn by others' mistakes maybe. And a lot of years of doing that equipped me pretty well for this job.
Very good. Bill?
Just a comment. Somebody asked me one day the exact same question you did. They said, well, what experience does you have in conservation? And I said, I hope not too much. Because we have 25 people. And our bent, as we bring to you today, our bent and our function is to get more business orientated.
Right.
And that's what Wayne brings. Wayne brings a vast amount of knowledge in business management. And that's what we require. We have people that understand flood control, dams, forestry. We don't need any more people like that at the present time. But we do need business experience, business understanding, collaborative approach to our people and to our situations and to our councils. Let's not kid ourselves. In the past, there's been slight, or more than slight, adversarial discussions with conservation. We don't really want that. And we hope that this new, kind of new management, new approach, we can get away from that. Business should be fun. It shouldn't be adversarial. Once it gets adversarial, you're going backwards. The minute it gets adversarial, the old saying is, if you're in a hole, quit digging. And we don't want to be there. But we're really glad to get Wayne, I can tell you that. Anyway, thank you very much.
Any other questions? Well, gentlemen, I thank you very much for taking some time out of your busy schedule. Wayne, thank you for choosing West Grey as your home again. Terrific spot. We know it's the center of the universe, and some days I want to tell the world that, and there's other days I want to say, yeah, I know it's the center of the universe, and I just want to enjoy it myself with my friends. Bill, thank you very much for putting in the time and representing West Grey on the board, as well with John, and we greatly appreciate the work that you're doing, and we're starting to see the results from your hard efforts. So congratulations, and let's move forward.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. We can do either one. Okay. It is a public meeting. You can stay as long as you want. We're very entertaining. Get back and get to work. For a little bit of hay? Yeah. As long as it's got a lot to do with hydraulics and nothing with strings, I'll be fine. Take care, Bill. Thank you, guys. Okay. That's it for Delegations, any business arising from the previous meeting? None that I'm aware of. Staff reports, who wants to go first? Carrie or Brian? Ken, you're at the bottom of the list, so you're... If you got anything to do, you'll probably have a few things to go and check out, Brian, so how about we go with Brian's report first? Would that be fine? Put you on front? Okay. So the Building Services Department, and that was an attachment. What?
The recommendation, actually in conjunction with finance, perhaps, Gary, we've been addressing this issue from a financial perspective, as it was RFP. As you can see from my report, we did extend invitations from our 4 normal businesses, Dom's, New Heights, H-Buy, and David Construction, the 4 that we requested RFPs from. We even extended, we did 1 extension for another 3 weeks, because one of the contractors was also very busy and failed to meet the deadline, so we then issued the RFP, and after that, only 1 came back. As you can see from New Heights, my recommendation was to consider this based on our timing with the grants that are attached to it. Also the fact that New Heights are probably the most knowledgeable, considering that they had done all the renovations, they left the well, temporary wall structure, everything, so that was one of my. And then, sorry.
That's audience out in cyber world, can't hear you. Tell them
So
now.
then in conjunction, I wanted to check the financing from the grants. And that's, let's turn it over to Gary.
Originally, we'd budgeted $100,000 for the project with a $33,000 grant, using $46,000 from the Municipal Capital Facilities Reserve and $20,000 from the levy. So with this, the project will be up to about $120,000. We have since been approved for a second grant, the Enabling Accessibility Fund, which is a $50,000 grant. I'm waiting to hear back from the CIIF whether we can still utilize their $33,000. It is both from federal sources, so whether, but I will forward them this new budget information as well, that the project is $20,000 higher than what we anticipated. So hopefully they'll let us keep some. If they do not fund any portion of it under the CIIF, we would need another $3,400, almost $3,500 to either come from our Municipal Capital Facilities Reserve or additional levy funding there. If we're fortunate enough that we can use some or all of the CIIF grants still, then we would reduce the amount that we'd have to pull from our Capital Facilities Reserve. But that's the worst case scenario. You're looking at another $3,400, $3,500 from your Capital Facilities Reserve or over budget.
Any questions? Deputy Mayor Bell. John?
Well, that's maybe not quite the news we were looking for, but I think in this particular case, it might be as good as it's going to get. That $3,500 represents 3.5% of the total project, and I think we can get it done. And if you need a motion to move this along, I would be happy to make it, because I would like to see
Sure,
this
it's going the
accepted.
other way.
Okay,
You're
fair
a little
enough,
short.
fair enough, fair enough. But this has been going on a long time. It's been good planning from a lot of people. The fact that if we can't keep both those grants, and we may not be able to, I think we can find the extra $3,500 somewhere. And with that, I have complete confidence in New Heights Building Corporation to do the job well. So.
Do you Okay, anything further, Brian? You're just,
I was only going to make a brief comment with regards to why budget. It was a 3-year-old budget that we were using in terms of numbers. The Elevator Act actually has since recently changed, and so a lot of that increase in cost has to do with the elevator facility, the car itself, based on the new regulations. So I did look at that, and it is justified in terms of what we had in the budget to current.
okay. Any other? Don, Councillor Marshall.
When do you figure you get an answer back from the grant organizations? 2014?
Yeah, and that's the thing, it's a federal office, they would need to move it through their approvals process, but hopefully, now that we have the, what the actual costs are coming in at, hopefully we'll hear back from them soon. I don't know what.
John?
Yeah, Brian, was there any indication of when the project could start if it was approved?
Sorry. Based on the grant deadline, as well as the number of weeks to actually complete. We're looking at 19 weeks, it takes 14 weeks to order the car. So that's the biggest pickup. As far as the actual structure, certainly can be started immediately. As far as getting the shaft built.
So basically, yeah, and what I'm thinking of, the whole thing could be done by the end of the year, for sure. Yeah, okay.
Don, further?
So I guess there is a chance that they could draw back one or the other grant. They could draw back the $50,000 grant, or they could draw back the $33,000 portion.
I will keep the $50,000. We budgeted based on 33. We have already received the check for the 50,000. So we're at least ahead of the game, with the exception of the budget. Now the project's increased, but that is the higher of the two grants. So I'm keeping that. I'm contacting the CIF, which is the lower one, to see if we can keep any portion of that. But we do have the 50,000. We will go forward based on that base, and then have to draw another 3,500 unless we can get, still use some of the other.
And you're very wary of that, Don, as we've seen at budget time. Once Kerry has money in her fingers, it is difficult to pry it out. Ottawa's not getting it back. So, okay. I do have a motion. It's moved by John A. Bell and seconded by John Eccles. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Garry hereby accepts the quotation from New Heights Building Group in the amount of $119,094 plus HST for the installation of an elevator at the Durham Arena. Is there any questions or comments on this motion? Call the question then. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. Thank you, Brian. And we'll let you get out to the sunshine. And are there any other questions of Brian while he's here? Don't get to see his smiling face in here too often. He's usually out doing building inspections for us. Okay, thanks, Brian. Okay, we'll go to Kerry's report then. And Kerry, I think the first thing that we have is the expenditure listing, if I'm not mistaken. And is there any, council have any questions? We've had the expenditure list for a number of days. Seeing none? Oh, Carol.
I left a message for Carrie, there's a couple of things in page 10, the recreation.
Can I use your mic, Carol?
Oh,
Please,
sorry about that.
just for the audience.
Page 10, Recreation Newstead Park, Huron Ridge, Newstead Flowers. I'm just questioning where that's gone, Carrie, that it's the same, the 8110. It's not going to go against Newstead Rec, I hope, because that's under Parks. I
It's in
believe,
the
or
new,
Economic Development or something, it's not,
No, it's in the Newstead Parks. It's now been all consolidated. Last year it was under, 2 years ago, it was under, when it was the Business Association, it was under the Economic Development.
Okay.
But this year we transferred it to the Parks, same with the Durham business one. So that's
Well-
where we had budgeted for.
okay, then I have another question, then, under Parks, you've got the washroom and the portable, which usually comes out of, Newstead Rec, different, like that, it's always part of our budget, the portable washroom and the, fixing up the, food booth,
Out of the Newstead Parks, yeah?
no. I don't believe so, maybe I can talk to you after
Yeah.
about that one. And then my second question was on page 13, and I was just wondering about the costs on the Rona building, if that's, right now it's against corporate costs, will that eventually be under police budget?
Once they actually
Or
move
is there going to be a
into,
line, like will police be paying a rental to under the corporate? How's that working, Kevin?
The Police Services Act says that the municipality supplies the building. Police have never paid,
There's no,
I mean,
Okay.
through that in the line, there's the utilities and that aspect of it, have gone through the police budget, but the building itself
right.
would be corporate,
This is utilities I'm talking about here. There's hydro and union gas.
yeah.
and
Once-
I was under the impression that until we actually turn it over to the police and they move from one building to the other,
Okay.
it's
All right.
it's a corporate
Yep.
renovations.
cost.
While we're doing the renovations,
Okay,
that'll be under our corporate expenses during that phase. And then once they move in, then we'll
They'll go under
switch it
police.
over, and then the old hydro
Yeah.
office, their current office, will become a
Okay.
corporate expense.
okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to get this down here before too many more leave. There was just, and I'll speak to Fire Chief Mr. Swartz about that. There was some IMS training, and there was 4 or 5 individuals from the Ayton department that went. One was, and I don't know whether they just went for 1 day or 2 days or 3 days, where the training was, because there was a couple at 150 kilometers and one at 50 kilometers. So I didn't know whether they were carpooling or it, just an anomaly there in some of that mileage. So, and I'll speak to the chief about that maybe at our next committee of the whole meeting. Okay. Any other questions on the accounts? If not, I have a motion moved by Mark Rapke and seconded by Carol Lawrence. Be it resolved that the Director of Finance Treasurer be authorized to pay the accounts presented as voucher number 12, 2013 of the Municipality of West Grey in the amount of $359,658.81. Any questions on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. And those are from Mark's report. The other report that you have, Carrie, in the package is just for information, is the council remuneration. Package that's there. Any other questions for Carrie at this point in time? Nope. Thank you, Carrie. Very good. I'd have to start signing these myself. Does council want to take just a couple of minute break? See if we can bring back some of the rest of the crew? Okay, we'll take just a couple of minute break to refresh your coffee
Here,
cups.
let me show you
Thank
what I
you.
was asking about that.
We'll call the meeting back to order. We do have quorum again, so I believe now we're down to Mark, your reports. So I'll let you start, or
First viewer.
let's get down to them here. Is everybody at those?
First one's recommendation committee of the whole.
Yep. So the first one is the first couple are recommendations from Committee of the Whole. No questions on that coming forward, so I'll have a motion moved by Rob Thompson and seconded by Don B. Marshall. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby approves the changes to the Committee of the Whole structure as contained in the regular agenda clerk report, CR 0703-213. Any questions or comments on that? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. So I'll just let it through. Okay. The second one is there was a couple of changes in the Committee of the Whole meeting times. And this came as a recommendation from the Committee of the Whole as well too. Is there any questions on the report? If not, I have a motion. It's moved by John Eccles and seconded by Rob Thompson. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby approves changing the starting times of the September 30th, 2013 and November 25th, 2013 Committee of the Whole meetings from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Is there any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. The next one, Mark, was from Clearview Township and the Municipality of Meaford. And they have requesting all rural municipalities in Grey County municipalities to consider supporting their resolution. I believe this is for their not willing hosts of industrial wind turbines. And just to be clear, little pun there, Clearview Township is basically Stayner area, just in Simcoe County. Any questions or comments on that? Sorry, Don? Yep, I have the resolution right here. Okay. I have the motion moved by Carol Lawrence and seconded by Rob Thompson. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey also declared an unwilling host for wind turbines. Hereby supports the resolution of the Councils of Clearview Township and the Municipality of Meaford, declaring the municipalities as not a willing host for industrial wind turbines. And further, that a supporting letter be forwarded to the Premier of Ontario, Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Energy, and Ministry of Rural Affairs, and aforementioned municipalities. Is there any questions or comments on the motion? Then Mark, I'll ask you to take the recorded vote, please.
Deputy Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Councillor Eccles?
Yes.
Mayor Eccles?
Yes.
Councillor Marshall?
No.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Out of those voting, I'll declare the motion passed, carried. Sorry. Getting closer, Don. Don't want to get done. Maybe that motion to reduce council to 7 was a little bit premature. It looks like 5 can do the job. Okay, and the Township of Kenilworth, Haggerty, and Richards has put forward a report and a motion to province of Ontario on the municipal ratepayers of all of Ontario vehemently opposed to the subsidization of the transit system in the GTA, that Ontario dollars should not be supporting that. And they're looking for support for their motion to oppose Ontario ratepayers subsidizing the transit system in the GTA. Any questions or comments on the report? Councillor Eccles. John?
Toronto has a lot of wonderful things that people in this part of the province like to go and see: baseball, basketball, museums, and all that other stuff that attracts us there. And when we go there, we use the transit systems in the Greater Toronto area, and that way we are supporting them as we're driving on them or using those facilities. And I don't think it's up to the ratepayers of Ontario to subsidize something that goes on in Greater Toronto.
Good point, John. Any other comments? All right, I'll introduce a motion that I have moved and seconded here. I have a motion moved by Rob Thompson and seconded by John Eccles. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Garry hereby supports the resolution of the Council of the Township of Kinlow, Haggerty and Richards regarding rural Ontario ratepayers subsidizing the transit system for the Greater Toronto Area, GTA. And further, that a supporting letter be forwarded to the Premier of Ontario, the Ministry of Transportation, local MPPs in the Township of Kinlow, Haggerty and Richards. Any questions on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Yeah. Do you want to go and see if he's around there, Mark? Mark wants to get our Public Works Director, who's been more done some of the partner research on this project. That's next.
She had an emergency. Oh, okay.
Yes, sorry, she had a family emergency.
Okay, I wondered because I saw the computer.
She was here.
She was here and was called away on a family issue. So, and I should have mentioned that at the start of the meeting too. Our best wishes go out to Councillor Mollison as well too, as today he's in Kitchener at St. Mary's Hospital, I believe, having some heart surgery. So should be, and hopefully Councillor Rapke will be back before the meeting's over as well too. Sidewalk patios. Well, maybe that's where we should have the meeting and everybody could sit on the patio, Ken. Mark, do you just want to give us a bit of a rundown of what we've found from the economic development push on having patios and where we're at here with this bylaw?
Sure. So the Director of Infrastructure and Public Works and myself, we sort of collaborated on this. The application form was completed by Ken and with some staff assistance, and then I had to type up the agreement all over again. It was patterned after a similar agreement by the City of Owen Sound. There were some amendments made, trying to incorporate some of the provisions that the Committee of the Whole were looking to do, including a $2 million liability insurance and naming West Gray as a co-insured. Looking at basically an effective date for these sidewalk patios or cafes from May 1st to October 31st of each year. And the sidewalk patios, it'd be close up by 10 p.m. so that there'd be limited noise. That's mostly it. There's other provisions, again, regarding the not restricting sidewalk access, leaving at least, I think, the 4-foot opening for whether it's wheelchair or handicap accessible transportation. So what we're looking at, I guess, these businesses would basically apply. There's no fee to apply or get the approval. But then they would also enter into the agreement, which would, I guess, come before council. That's how it's formatted. I guess you could have an option. There is a way of the delegation bylaw, if you wanted to delegate that authority to a staff person to deal with that. So to expedite these kinds of requests, I suppose that could be done. We'd have to amend the delegation bylaw. Probably Public Works would be the best department there to delegate it to, perhaps the director himself. But open for discussion.
Councillor Thompson. Rob?
Yeah, Mark, just, so this bylaw will prohibit them from putting their patios out onto the travel portion or the parking areas as maintained on the sidewalk?
Yes, I think the Director of Infrastructure Public Works had, and maybe the CEO too, had mentioned some of the liability concerns, and it certainly wasn't a recommendation. I thought the Committee of the Whole was agreeable to that, to excluding them from the roadways.
On there also, Mark and Ken, it says minimum of 4 feet. Should it be maximum? You're allowed to come out no more than 4 feet from the front. It says minimum in there.
I think it's
Yeah, it's maintaining a minimum of 4. Yeah.
Okay, and a number, on section 15 of your bylaw, it says in there the Liquor License Control Board. Is that the actual?
It's a different terminology.
I'm just wondering if that's the right terminology for it.
I think it should be the Alcohol and Gaming.
I believe so.
I can change that, yeah, thanks.
Just had a couple of questions. Number 4, Mark, the agreement, it talks about the lessee shall erect and construct the sidewalk patio and extension in accordance with our requirements. What are you meaning by an extension? Because we're not going to extend anything.
Probably was relating to the appurtenant kind of things, like whether it's a fence and everything else, the different structures associated with the actual patio.
Extension, though? Like, to me,
We could take that
construct an
out if
extension,
that
that's
creates
all.
some,
Yeah.
okay, we'll take that out.
And then
thank you.
my other question was in number 17, and that's to do with the dates, and then it goes on to say the sidewalk is required to be cleared of snow in accordance with West Gray requirements. We're not requiring the business to clear the snow, I don't believe.
I'll eliminate that then too. Probably was a requirement of the city, and yeah, that
It-
probably
probably
isn't
in
the
the
same
other one.
requirement for the
Yeah.
municipality.
Thanks.
Well, we have had snow by the 31st of October, though, before. Deputy Mayor Bell. John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Regarding the designating a person of authority to look after that. I think that would be a good idea. I don't think all these patio agreements have to come before council. And I would think that either Ken or a member of his staff, once this bylaw is in place, could adhere to that and make that work. There's numerous gentlemen that travel in and around through Durham or Newstead that I'm sure could either get the form to the person and the person give them back to form, and as long as it's okayed by Ken, without him going to do inspections and all that kind of stuff, would make better use of his time. So I would like to see that put into place. With your direction, Ken, of course.
You're asking for Ken's direction, he maybe say give it to somebody else, but
Well, what he's saying and what he means might be two different things here right now, or they might be the same thing. So, but I think that it can be handled within that department, but I don't think that Ken has to be the inspector to go out and look at all these things once this is in place.
I think it comes into line with our entrance permits, residential entrance permits there. Certainly don't come through council to be approved, every one of those ones. We have policies around it, and I think there's good policies in here, so I agree with you, Deputy Mayor, on that we can amend that delegation bylaw coming forward to do that, Ken. And amending that bylaw will be probably Mark more than it will be Ken. Mark?
Sure, so I can prepare the amendments to the agreements, and we'll get the either an amendment to the delegation bylaw or just redo it. I sometimes like to redo the whole bylaw so you don't have to refer to two documents as opposed to the one. But we'll have that ready for the July 15th council meeting.
I guess, is there some way of notifying the businesses that this is now in play, that they can start filling out their applications? Is there?
Well, that's being a little presumptuous that we're going to pass the bylaw,
Yeah.
but
If
yeah,
the
once the
bylaw's
bylaw passes, yeah, if and when the bylaw would pass, I guess up until the 15th, until that delegation bylaw, the way it's written, it would have to come to council, but would be in the same time as we're passing the delegation bylaw. So there is a couple of businesses that are certainly keen on exploring this avenue of business expansion for themselves. Okay, anything else? Don?
Yes, when you brought up about the driveway permits, it sort of sparked something that if they were approved and they put up their construction and we said, no, that's not up to our standards, they're saying, well, we're leaving it like that, we have to come in and maybe tear it down. Just wondering, with the driveways, they pay the $600 and we give them back $400 if we approve of their work. Is that something that maybe should happen here? That with the permit, they pay $100 for it or whatever, and then if it's approved, then they get their $100 back.
Well, it's a thought. What does anybody else think? Burn. I'm going to take Councillor Thompson first, and then Councillor Lawrence. I'm going to take Councillor Lawrence then. Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
I don't agree with that. We had said that there will be no monies involved, and we're trying to help these businesses, and if in fact it has to be inspected, then I can't see, I mean, we could require, if it isn't right, you have to do such and so before you're approved. I don't think that we need a deposit. Not at this point. Like, let's try it for a year and see how it goes.
Yeah, basically the same point, but that entrance driveways, the $600 was to cover anything that may occur. Like, my understanding is if there was a water main or a shut-off underneath it, somebody puts a driveway in, then that would cover some of the costs that Public Works may incur during that. But I don't think this would be, and we decided to not initiate any type of costs right now and to see how it goes. Trial based it.
Yeah, there are a couple of things under new business, correct? Sorry, so I guess that brings us down to bylaws. Thanks, Ken. We have two bylaws, 52 and number 52 and 53. So we'll move into those. I have number 52, which is a bylaw on this Gray South Condominium Corporation. And Councillor Eccles has declared a conflict on that. So noted. Thank you, John. So I have a motion moved by Rob Thompson and seconded by John A. Bell. Be it resolved that bylaw number 52, 2013, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and the CEO to enter into a condominium development agreement between the Municipality of West Gray and Gray South Condominium Corporation number 1, be now read a third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the CEO, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. And I didn't have my mic on when we started. It's just that Mr. Eccles, Councillor Eccles, has a conflict with this bylaw. Any questions or comments on the motion? Mark?
Yeah, just refer to, in the first paragraph, the CAO/clerk. I'll change that to CEO.
Any other comments? I'll call the question then. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay. Mr. Eccles, do you want to come back in and join us? I think we got a mark. Okay. The second bylaw today is a bylaw number 53, and it's the sale and purchase of municipal lands. So I have a motion moved by Carol Lawrence and seconded by John A. Bell. Be it resolved that bylaw number 53, 2013, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement of purchase and sale of lands owned by the Municipality of West Gray to Can Do Homes Limited, described as Plan 500, lots 4, 5, and 6, Kincardine Street, ES, former town of Durham, Municipality of West Gray, in the County of Gray, for the sum of $90,000 plus HST, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the CEO, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Any questions, comments on the motion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. There we are, Mark. And that's it for bylaws. New business. Anything on new business, Mark? Go ahead.
The municipality received a zoning bylaw amendment by Chris Hopkins and Robert Wilson for a commercial-related proposal on lands just down Gray Road 4. Let's see. Concession 3, West Scarifraxa Road, Lot 56. They have requested if the municipality can expedite holding the public meeting. They're quite interested in getting the proposed commercial development started. The next planning committee that sufficient notice could be given for is August 12th, the regularly scheduled meeting. The next, of course, we need a minimum 20 days prior notice for a public meeting, so really the available other dates would possibly be when council would be around, that is at the July, let's see, just a second here, July 29th, committee of the whole meeting, if there's a bit of time that would be available there. Or potentially the August 7th council meeting. The Planning Advisory Committee only makes recommendations for zoning amendments, so even then, if it was recommended for approval, it would have to go to council. So I would suggest, if council is interested in expediting the application, the 29th, maybe there'd be a bit of time available. The only concern I have, of course, is it's a $1,000 application, and if you have 6 members of the committee giving a per diem of $85 or whatever, that's $500 right there, so that's a bit of a concern financially. This application is not without issue. It doesn't conform to the county official plan. It's a proposed commercial use in an agricultural designation, which isn't permitted, even for a small-scale commercial development, which it probably exceeds the small-scale commercial use. So just so you're advised of that, but I said I would take it to council for consideration.
With that in mind, what are the thoughts? Don? Councillor Marshall?
I guess that this isn't on the woodlot out here, is it? And if
That
so,
would be very
is that,
astute. Yes, you're right.
I thought that was zoned commercial now.
Yeah, it is zoned a commercial exception, but it's designated agricultural, so that's the issue. The commercial exception zone that it has does not permit that scale, including a mini storage, what's being proposed among other uses.
Any other thoughts? John? Deputy Mayor Bell?
Thank you. When you go to, well, when you speak of mini storage, I know of another one in the municipality that was built in the middle of a field. Not exactly sure how that was zoned at the time. Yes, it has grass around it, but Mr. Mayor, I see you turn your mic on. Go ahead.
At the time that one was built, it was inside the hamlet designation zone.
Yeah.
So it did qualify in the hamlet designation.
In the hamlet around the city of Allen
Yes.
Park, okay?
City, hamlet, village, the outer urban area.
Okay.
Must be close to somebody's house.
Well, that lot out here has remained vacant. It's had wood piles on it. It has a number of things, and I mean, we can argue one commercial designation versus another. As far as what they are doing, I think, yeah, there's, shall we say, the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. And I know this law has changed with OPA 80 and all that kind of good stuff, but I do believe there is merit in the application. I would like to see it brought forward. These gentlemen, our local gentlemen, their roots run, both of them run very deep in Durham and surrounding area. They've decided to set up a business here, and I think we should do all that we can to help them.
So I guess you're making the suggestion that we move it up to the 29th and have the public meeting on the 29th?
I would make that suggestion with the understanding that all members of the committee hopefully can be there that day.
Yep.
Well, as committee of the whole, I'm hoping that all members of council can be here that day. Any other comments on that? Any other thoughts? We certainly will find as what is allowed with the exemptions on the zoning. I think that strangely enough, a mini storage is not one of those exemptions, but a commercial business with a house, which is on the other lot right beside it, would be allowed. But anyways, I think Deputy Mayor Bell said it best. There's the letter of the law and there's the spirit of the proposal that may be fit. Okay? All right, so Mark, I think you can take that direction and get it circulated for us. Okay, very good. Another item, go ahead.
Just for those council members that aren't on the West Grey Planning Advisory Committee, At the July 15th Planning Advisory Committee at 2 p.m., there will be a public meeting for the West Gray and Hanover secondary plan for the proposed official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment. So if you wish to participate in viewing in the proceedings, you're welcome to attend, as anyone is. That's July 15th, a Monday, at 2 p.m. here in the council chambers.
Okay. Carol?
Ready for some other new business?
Yes. Yep, this is the spot for it.
Thank you. I had a call this morning from Don Zettler, who had a call from Len Bodding, and he was inquiring whether they could have 8 to 10 picnic tables from the Lions Park shelter put on the main street for the Fiber Arts Day, the July 13th. So I said I would bring it here and get your opinion. We don't allow anything out of the arena or the hall anymore. Picnic tables are maybe a bit different, but they want 8 to 10, and there's 4 or 5 spots on Main Street that they want to put them out for the day. Now, I don't know about the arrangements, but I would assume that they would pick them up and return them, not expect our Public Works to do it, but you know, council would have to give permission, I think.
They'll comply with the sidewalk patio bylaw?
I don't know.
Yeah, it just passed?
July 13th.
They're not going outside of restaurants or
It's just going to be placed
different
along on
spots.
this.
Yeah.
I believe in our support for the Fiber Festival, we said we would, I don't think we've given it anything huge in the monetary aspect of it, but there was anything that we could do to support the growing of the festival or the birth of the festival we try to do. It's basically for, as a committee of council, recreation, putting them down there. They're still on municipal property. It's not like we're sending them off to the Conservation Authority or something like that are coming and going to partner with us. This is through the municipality, so I'd like to think that we could do that if they could move them and have them put back. Councillor Eccles.
My only concern is there anything going on at the park that day that would be shorting the activities at the park?
I think 8 or 10 wouldn't, unless it was a huge function, I think would be okay to take 8 or 10 tables.
Yeah. And I'm not aware, Ken, you're not aware of anything being booked? Ask Don to make sure to double check on that there's no large family reunions or anything down there that weekend.
Okay.
As I said before, everybody will probably be at the Holstein Rodeo anyways. Might be burning the picnic tables down there.
I have one more thing, and
Go ahead, Carol.
I think Mark's been involved in this. Did you had a call from Sylvia in
It's been taken care of.
Cape Carden? That's all been taken care of? We don't
Yeah.
have to do anything
No.
here?
Yeah, they're okay.
Okay, good, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, any other new business? Deputy Mayor, John?
I've resisted somewhat telling this little story. I got a concerned phone call and then a follow-up from a very concerned person who does the flower beds at the cenotaph. And I guess apparently some animals in town are not, well, let's say they're not being looked after properly when they are walked, recognizing there's certain responsibilities going on. And the person at the cenotaph who does the flowers for nothing, keeps the place looking great, is very appreciative of West Gray cutting the grass, doing our part to make things look good. But I guess I don't know where this should go, recognizing that everybody has their departments, but I don't know which one this falls under. But they were very...
It should go into a bag, shouldn't it?
It should go into a bag, exactly. Unfortunately, some of our citizens aren't doing their, shall we say, due diligence. This person was fairly upset, recognizing, of course, they called it a degradation of a sacred, shall we say, piece of land, I guess, by letting this go unfounded and unlooked after, so not sure what we're going to do, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention because I don't let too many things bother me, but that does kind of bother me a little bit, so I'll leave it at that. Some people just need a little gentle reminder more than anything.
I hesitate to throw this out there as well. Christine, go ahead.
Perhaps I'm going to throw out what you might be saying. We do have community police officers, so that could probably keep an eye out, a watchful eye around that.
And I was thinking more towards, Ken's put up a couple of these signs to make notification. Whether it be a sign somewhere there or maybe another one, even in and around Vickers Park as well too. I've heard some concern there as well. I'm not certain, but something sticks in my mind that there is one in Newstead at the Lions Park in Newstead. But I'm not 100%. It just seemed that something stuck in my mind that maybe there is. But if we could maybe, Ken, get 3 or 4 signs put, and one at the Cenotaph, one down at Vickers, check to make sure there's one at the park in Lions Park, just to remind people of their husbandry responsibilities. Civic duty. Carol?
We do have a stoop and scoop bylaw.
There is a bylaw as well too to be enforced, yeah.
It's not just in the parks, Mr. Mayor. I'm hearing from people, there are certain people who do not look after their dogs. They just let them.
Contrary to what the Conservation Authority says, those ones, they are on leash, but they're still causing difficulties.
Very much, yes.
Yeah.
Very big dogs, apparently.
Okay. All right. Any other new business? Notice of motion, addendums or notice of motion, Mark? Who's what? Oh, sorry. Ken, Christine? Yeah. Just looking at councillors for new business. You probably got as much as we do. Go ahead.
We have a report in front of council in regards to private swimming lessons. Everybody's got a copy? Okay. There has been actually now 2 families come forward looking for private swimming lessons in the swimming facilities in West Grey, and this was touched on through the recreation operational overview that we would consider offering private lessons, and we certainly have the staffing in place to do it, and they're anxious. The swimming staff are anxious to provide private swimming lessons, so I think we could do it on a trial basis to see how it would work and move forward from there. But there is in our fees bylaw, there is a line there that would follow this the scheduling or the cost of the private lessons. So we may want to adjust it later on, but certainly for a trial basis, I think it would help compensate for the cost of some of our swimming staff.
Comments, Councillor Lawrence?
Well, just, I agree with it. It's not the first time it's been done, Ken. It used to be done all the time. So, you know, and it's nice if we can offer those private lessons. Some parents prefer that their kids have more of a one-on-one or a 3-on-1, so.
And there's issues with, what do we say, multi-parent families where children just don't fit into those weeks, depending on where they're visiting through those weeks, and if it just doesn't fit in, and this is a good way to make it accessible. Certainly agree. Any other comments? Can you take direction on that, Ken? Go ahead with it. Very good. See what the young group can do down there. Christine?
Well,
Your
we
new
have-
business.
Thank you, Your Worship. We did receive an email from Carol Dick yesterday. She is interested in selling some Normanby reflection books at the Fiber Arts Festival on July 13th. Just asking for permission. Out of what she writes, I think you could take it both ways. It looks like she wants to sell those that are not sold, she'll return, and she'll return the money from the ones that are sold. So we do have a call into her to find out if it's just a straight sell. They're $12.50 is what we've been selling the larger books for. I guess you could take it the other way if she's looking for a 50-50 split, but that isn't fully articulated in here. But if it is just a straight sale, is council okay with that?
Yeah. Carol?
We did split 50-50 with the homecoming last.
Yes.
And
They were $10 a book and 50-50 split
Yeah.
for Durham homecoming.
I just,
It's not-
I guess my thought is if this is one way we could help the fiber art, support them, and there would be some income from that, because I'm sure they're going to have some expenses.
Mhm. They've
And
already
also,
incurred some.
I think we have a lot of those books, so it would kind of be a win-win if they looked after you. I think last year we just took an inventory of what we sent and then inventoried it when it was back, and the homecoming provided the 50% of the sales, I believe. That's the way it went.
All right, so what am I looking at? Looking for suggestions here. You're saying the 50-50 split, or?
Yeah.
Any comments, questions on that? Silence is approval. Okay. There's the approval from Carol back, and say that we'll, sell them and on a commission basis. All right. Any other new business? Notice a motion or direct motion. Mark, you have one and I have one. So go ahead, Mark. I'll let you do yours first.
Yeah, the last committee of the whole meeting, there was direction from the committee of the whole to appoint Deputy Mayor Bell to the Grey County First Impressions Community Exchange with Councillor Marshall as the first alternate and Steve Earhart as the second alternate. Oh, what did I do? Sorry, John.
Not getting much approval from Bell, and Eccles was hiding on that, but
So just looking for a motion to ratify that direction.
Christine?
I may have not been, actively listening, but it was John Eccles, Don Marshall, and then Steve Earhart.
Yes?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, right on.
I was listening, I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Here, you can sign it for him.
Yeah.
Or, well, we need 2/3. Amazing.
Before I introduce them, the one that I'd like to have asked to introduce is concerning West Grey's request to Grey County to conduct a study to determine the feasibility of implementing a county-wide public library system or card system for the library. That was mine. Mr. Bell?
I'd like to comment on that portion of business, Mr. Eccles. If this is what it needs to take to move this along, I would like to see this also looked at, and I know that you had presented this at County Council, and I think it's 18 months ago, and there hasn't just been a whole lot done, and now we've changed the system whereby you introduce those things that may or may not be in the county's best interest, but if this is the way it has to go forward, I'm wholeheartedly in the support of that.
Okay. I'll need 2/3, I'm going to ask 2/3 majority to introduce these, and then we can question and comment. The two items that are on, one on county library system and two on the First Impressions appointees. I'll need 2/3 majority to introduce those as a notice of motion. All those in favor? Any opposed? I have 2/3 majority on that. Questions on the library one? Is that the one you're wanting, Carol? Go ahead.
Yes, thanks. Just when you say a card system, do you mean like a reciprocal system among the lower tier?
Yes.
Yeah, because that would, if the county doesn't want to get into it, that would work. It would just be the biggest thing would be getting the books returned. That's the problem if you don't have a county system, you know. But, yeah, for sure, I mean, I would so move if you're looking for a mover.
Well, very good. We'll send them out there and we'll see what we can get. Comments while they're going out? Councillor Eccles. John?
This has been a long time coming. I can't believe that we haven't had one in the past, and I can't believe that it hasn't gotten any traction over the years. I'm glad to see it coming forward. The library.
Okay. So I have two motions introduced. I have a motion moved by Rob Thompson, second by John A. Bell. Resolved that the Council of the Municipality of Westgrey hereby appoints Councillor Eccles to the Grey County First Impressions Community Exchange, with Councillor Marshall appointed as the first alternate and Steve Earhart, Utility Supervisor, as the second alternate, as recommended by Committee of the Whole. Is there any questions or comments on this motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. The second one, I have a move by Carol Lawrence and seconded by John A. Bell. Resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby requests the County of Grey to conduct a study to determine the feasibility of implementing a county-wide public library system or a county-wide public library card system. Any questions or comments on this? As Deputy Mayor Bell said, the county has introduced a new governance structure so that anything coming forward and changing of operations, determination of what the county is doing, they're looking for lower tiers to make this. It came into play, I'm going to say, John, last fall. This will be the first one to test the system and see how it works. There hasn't been anybody coming forward yet to do this. So again, West Grey, being the leaders, the center of the world and the leaders of the universe, we're here. Carol.
I wonder if you could add the word reciprocal, a county-wide reciprocal card system, so it's clear that we'd still all have our own our own library systems, but I know that's what the way at West Grey has a reciprocal with Bruce County, for instance.
Public library reciprocal.
Yeah, countywide public library reciprocal card system. Well, you're the mover of it. Do you accept that as a friendly amendment?
Yes, I do.
Yep, okay. Let you get the spelling mark. Okay. Any other questions on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay. That's it for notice of motions. We do have a closed session, but before we go to that, I'll offer the audience, is there any questions? See? No? Just to maybe answer some people's questions, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but Hasib, sorry. My apologies. Has been at a couple of council meetings and certainly got a bit of the curiosity. Hasib works for a consulting company doing green energy projects and is just around consulting and looking, connecting with municipalities and where their stance and feelings are and getting the municipal pulse on green energy. How's that? Is that the best way to describe it? And Hasib was at, I thought that maybe I was being stalked. He was at Grey County Council yesterday, but he tells me it's not me, it's John Bell that he's stalking, so we'll leave it at that.
Have a good set of running shoes on to keep up. Sure.
Well, he took a look, then I guess he is stalking me because he realizes he doesn't need any running shoes to keep up to me these days. Okay, and if there's no questions, then I do have a motion I need a mover and seconder for us to move into closed session. I got some notes written. Thank you. I have a motion moved by John A. Bell and seconded by John Eccles, whereas the Municipal Act SO 2001, Section 239-2 authorizes council of the municipality to close to the public a meeting or part of a meeting for dealing with certain subject matters. Now therefore be it resolved that the council of the municipality of West Grey does now go into closed session of council at 12:02 p.m. with the CEO, clerk, director of building services, CBO, and Director of Infrastructure Public Works to discuss an item that relates to personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land for municipal or local board purposes, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, Nexterra Energy Canada, and the receiving of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, Nexterra Energy Canada. Any questions or comments on the motion? Yeah, they're all indicated here. Yeah. Okay. Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay. Thank you out there to the audience. I don't believe that there'll be